artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence.
Artificial general intelligence.
Artificial intelligence.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
In the past 6 months, AI has gone from something we only see in sci-fi movies
I am a machine.
to something so common that kids are using it to do their homework.
There is also something to be said. I listened to like a whole thing from the Google engineer that quit. It's like a whole interview. And his whole thing was that what everybody's calling AI now is just kind of like a pop culture term for another thing. It's like, yeah, it's like whatever the term is. It's like mass, like language learning models or something, like MLLMs, I think. So it's like, yeah, it's technically AI, but it's like a bunch of other stuff too. Oh yes, thank you, Rocky. Link the hold on. Where's YouTube chat? Boop. This is the video. Okay. Yeah, it's just not showing links on this screen when I post them. That's weird. So there's that. However, if we go mid-journey, there's also a lot of other AI that is developing at the same level, at the same decent pace, which is kind of complicating all of this as well. And I think that that's why it seems like things are moving so quickly, because there's just a lot of different little things happening all at the same time. Like if I show you like these, you remember I showed you guys, or I told you guys that story of wanting to make like a trailer for a fake Hideo Kojima game that was all going to be about, like, you know, Sam Porter Bridges comes out and then crying tears made of gummy bears and stuff. Well, like, I put it into Midjourney, just telling it to be like, try to make something that looks like that in the style of Death Stranding in the Decima engine, next generation PS5, 4K, blah, blah, blah. And like, while it's not exactly what I was imagining, it's actually done like a decent job. If you like cut this and then said this is a leaked screenshot from one of the trailers, I like, not knowing that this was made in Midjourney, I might believe you. This one's just Russell Crowe. But like, none of these are real. There's like a little bit of Mads Mikkelsen in this. Like his mouth looks like Mads' mouth, but then it's a different face. It's very weird. The whole thing is just very uncanny. But this is what it came up with, thinking that they were crying tears made of gummy bears. It didn't really know what to do with it, which I can understand, because what does that even mean? But it does like a pretty decent job. The other one I'll show you was just funny because I saw it pop up. Somebody was generating this while I was generating these, and I thought it was funny. They asked it to design Kermit the Frog in World War II. You see all the Kermits behind him running around. There's just something about this image that is just deeply, deeply funny to me. But again, like, this is AI generated. This is not real. It's madness. It's madness. Or this one. It's just so freaking weird. There's weird artifacting occasionally. Like you see this one, it put a weird line above his eyes for some reason. I don't know what that's about or why it thought to do that. Or this one, it thought the eyes go through the hoodie. So that's like little cutouts in the hoodie to do that. This one's just like, these are both kind of haunting. Kermit the Frog there. But like, it's crazy what this AI stuff can do now. It's utter madness. And it is transforming the way we tackle all of this stuff. I mean, pretty much everything in any of the art spaces is fundamentally changing. As I've said before, like I've tried using some of this stuff in our workflow. You guys remember we did that stream of Dead Island 2? Well, I realized YouTube was automatically flagging any videos for demonetization that used like wallpapers and images of Dead Island 2 because they didn't like the game. It was gory and they thought that it wasn't advertiser friendly. So I had Midjourney generate some AI art of a zombie on a beach in LA. It generated this, and then we used this as the thumbnail for the video. And this has never been seen or created before. Like, it's madness. It's utter madness. Or another one we did, we tried the Todd Howard thing. Or like this. Like, this isn't real. This was me asking portrait of Geralt of Rivia in the style of Wes Anderson. And like it generated this. Like, this will fundamentally change how all of this stuff works. I don't think it gets rid of concept artists. I think those people will still have jobs, but it's going to be different because you won't need 20 concept artists to create the art trying to like replicate what you are trying to do. Instead, you'll probably have like one or two that create the art and the art style, and then you can feed that into Midjourney and say, in this art style, generate 30 different pictures at these locations with this type of thing, with this weather, and it can spit it out in 30 seconds versus weeks of work for an AI or for a concept art team. So it is changing everything. It just is. At this point, I don't think there's any stopping it. There's discussions of like regulations, but as far as I can tell, there's no way to like regulate all of this quickly, like with 80-year-old politicians doing it. Like, come on. Do you really think that like you can explain this to Joe Biden and get him to understand the severity and importance of dealing with this? I don't think you can. Or like King Charles. You think you can explain to King Charles, listen, my lord, I think you need to tackle this and do this, this, and this. And, you know, AI is important as a tool, but it's also crucial to protect the jobs of independent creators and artists. And either he's just going to ban it outright and be like, okay, in the UK, no AI anything, which good luck UK if that happens, or good luck US if Joe Biden does that or finds a way to get that bill passed. Because this is the future. And if one country's not using it, guess who else is going to be using it? Every other country. Okay, so like if the US stops using Midjourney and they outlaw it, it's still going to very much be a thing. And it's only getting better, you know, day by day. They just updated it with V5, which has like crazy accurate humanoid figures. So like hands are really accurate. They trained a ton on hands because hands in previous versions didn't look quite right. And I mean, you can see what the quality level is. Like if you told me that this was something that like a college student designed, I'd believe you. Like seeing that this is something generated in Midjourney is wild. And it could probably use some touch-ups, maybe circle out the eyes a little bit, tweak the pupils. But like this stuff, generating images that look like they're within a game engine, all video game leaks are about to get insane. Everything, because somebody can just generate. My understanding though is that you can do reverse image searches and figure out if something did come from Midjourney. So there should still be a way to check if stuff is just outright faked, but eventually people will get, you know, ways to work around that. But it's all madness. Joe Biden would say, send the military. He'd be like, go get Corn Pop. Was that the guy's name in that story he told? Corn Pop? I think it was. Go get Corn Pop. Corn Pop will figure it out.
Is this something that students are only going to use to cheat?
No one predicted.
And I won't say who. I spoke to somebody last night that used Snapchat AI to write most of their like college paper. It was like a lit paper on some book. I don't remember the book, but it was on just a book. And then he typed in, like, we could probably do a like demo of this. So like, or this is a good one. Last night I was like, hey, can you write an alternative ending to Adam and Eve, the story of Adam and Eve? And it creates this whole other story of like Adam and Eve becoming like basically the guardians of the earth and God using them as like the new angels. And like it just writes this out of nowhere for you. Or like we could do this. Let's do reasoning speed, conciseness, reasoning, conciseness speed. Let's just do 3.5. And let's ask it, can you summarize, oh my God, summarize. I went to school in the US. Lay off me. Can you summarize the book, The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham in a clean, bullet pointed list? And it just does it for you. So like you could read the book. This gives you like the quick things. And if you're writing a college paper, you just do this. And so what he did is he went into Snapchat AI and he was like, what is the takeaway from this? Or was this author considered controversial? Or like we could ask, what are the common refutations to Nietzsche's works? I don't even know. I think that's how you spell Nietzsche. No, it's Nietz. Okay. Anyway. And then like right here, it just basically spits out common refutations. Criticism of Nietzsche's influence. Some critics argue that Nietzsche's ideas have been misinterpreted and misapplied, leading to negative consequences. For example, some have argued that Nietzsche's philosophy has been used to justify fascism and other forms of authoritarianism. Criticisms of his morality. Another common criticism of Nietzsche is that his rejection of traditional morality leads to immoral or amoral philosophies. Critics argue that Nietzsche's emphasis on individualism and the pursuit of power and self-interest can lead to a disregard for the well-being of others. Like it just does all of this, and then you could ask it to expand on this, and then it just writes papers for you. So I can't even imagine what it's like to be a school teacher right now. It's got to be a nightmare, because I'm sure probably 85 to 90% of the papers that teachers are getting are mostly written by these AI tools. Like, let's just be honest. And I don't know how they can tell. Some people will be like, hey, can you write me a 1,000-word essay, ChatGPT? Can you do that? And I think it will. And then it spits it out and does it. Cool. But then other times people will do like what I just did, and they'll pull it up and play around with it a little bit and mess with it and rewrite parts of it. And at that point, it's like, yeah, Tite's saying, it's just kind of like a tool for reference, and they can't really do anything about it. It's just like finding those Spark Notes posts that break down in very precise and easy to read and digest formats what exactly, the story's about. So it's a tricky thing, but the whole world's changing. This whole thing's changing. Okay. It's madness. Kimbis, good to see you. I got your thing sorted. I don't know if you saw the email, but I got it all sorted, so it should be on its way. Imperium, I gotta sign off. Gotta work, or gotta be up for work in a few hours. Hope you all have a great stream. We'll watch the rest of the VOD tomorrow at work. Thanks for sharing that trailer, Luke. You got rhythm. Thank you, Imperium, and well done on it, my friend. That was awesome.
Did AI to take off this fast?
Damn, these things are fast.
And any assumptions made about its progression has been way off.
What constitutes artificial intelligence? I think you'd get a lot of different answers.
The world is being upended. Every single industry will be affected. But I thought video games would be one of the last. I was wrong. AI is taking over storytelling, dialogue, concept art, modeling, animation, music development, and more. And to prove it, in the span of only a few hours, my friend Jared and I were able to create this simple 2D side-scroller using only AI and Unreal Engine. What would have taken weeks worth of work in the past took us only a few hours. First, we wrote the story, lore, and dialogue using ChatGPT. And then we had 11 labs do the voiceover. Second, we used Midjourney to create the concept art and models for our backgrounds, hero, and NPCs. We also just cut a chunk out of the characters, so when we made the animations, it looked like they moved. Not bad. Third, for music, we used SoundDraw. And lastly, the best part, we didn't need to write a single line of code. We just used Unreal Engine scripting for everything. So with little to no training on Unreal Engine and AI tools, we created Etheria, the Shrouded Realm. Is it perfect? No. Some of the art doesn't fully match, and our hero Lumina can't do much more than move and jump. But with some love and attention, I bet we can make a simple game in a few weeks. And if two buffoons can do this with a few hours, what can industry experts do with hundreds? Almost every job in game development will be affected.
Maybe we'll finally get games out in less than 5 to 60 years. Who knows? I do think there are implementations of this that could get crazy with, like, I don't know, the tricky, like, what is, I guess maybe one of you guys knows, what is the most time-consuming element of game development right now? Like, what is making games take 5-6 years? It's like, you think about it, it's like, well, it's probably not modeling, it's probably not the art. Is it balancing? Is it coding? Is it conceptualizing? Like, what is it that's taken games from 2 to 3 year turnarounds and inflated them to 5 to 6 year turnarounds? Or is it just that everything's gotten more complicated, you know? Is it polish? Well, if it was polish, I would hope that we would see more polished games, but so many of them launch broken now. So it seems like if they're trying to polish, they're doing a bad job of it. Making a narrative, yeah, maybe making a narrative, that could be it. Or I mean, what some people have said is it's just with the higher level of fidelity, the standard to which everything has to rise to be considered competitive has gotten way out of proportion. It's just, things are way tougher to get to AAA standards or even AA standards than they used to be. So that, I mean, that could be it. Scope creep, yeah, maybe. I mean, and then the one thing is, you got to hand it to teams like From Software. They seem to be able to keep focus pretty narrow, all things considered. I mean, they're able to figure out what they want to do, and then they just get it done. And same with Insomniac. They've been able to figure it out and just pump it out. You know, it's just crazy. It's almost definitely pre-production and mechanics. Well, and so my question is just, if AI, like there are all of these AI tools, which granted, when used by newbies, look like crap because they're just quick AI tools that figure it out and like, oh, here's a basic animation, here's a basic background, here's this and that. That will never replace actual artists, right? But what could is using AI as tools to greatly increase productivity. And that's something that I think is much more likely, is you get a team like Rockstar and you give them AI tools to speed up the process of what they're doing. I mean, in a certain way, procedural generation of worlds and stuff is in a lot of ways this same kind of thing, where if you just procedurally generate a world, it probably doesn't give you the feeling of like a carefully crafted, well-designed world to explore. But if it's procedurally generated and then artists go in and tweak it and mess with it and rearrange it, then it feels like that. And that's just what we're talking about with the AI tools, where it works great when it's in the right hands, who can massage it and get it back into a position where it really works quite well, you know. Then they'll have then they will just fire half the team and it will take just as long. Maybe, yeah, tight. Or maybe they'll realize if they keep the same full team that they can just pump out twice as many games and hopefully make twice as much money. Maybe. Maybe, maybe not. Thank you, Kush. Thank you so much. Welcome to the members. We haven't come up with a good name for it, but thank you dearly. Thank you. Oops, I still had alerts muted from when we did the podcast. That's my bad. Who can grab it and twist it? Grab his dick and twist it. I would assume coding for all the possibilities in modern games without breaking them is super time consuming. I do think, Brett, that is a thing. And apparently problems with like Redfall and Jedi Survivor go back to the code system. And maybe they'll touch on it in this. But you see them using scripts. So these, like Unreal Engine has this system for scripting. So you can just kind of drag stuff and you don't have to manually code it. But that is not super practical when you're trying to create a game on a AAA scale. You're going to have to manually code a lot of stuff. So what I understand it to be, and this could be totally wrong, but my understanding is that for a lot of development, these studios will use the scripting systems like this to get stuff working. And then after the fact, the programmers go back through and they'll basically write custom code for all of this stuff, which runs more efficiently. And that way that they can run at higher frame rates, they have less hitching, it runs better. However, if you don't schedule enough time, enough polish, going through and writing the code to replace all the blueprints, all the scripting and stuff can often introduce new issues or new performance issues that they didn't consider. And if they don't have time to fix it, you end up with a launch that is just super buggy and broken. So, the red flags. Yeah, welcome to the red flags. That works. Yeah, sorry. Maybe we should do shirts like that. I'm a proud red flag or something like that. We could do that. I do have more shirts coming. We did more designs. We have the Skeptic collection coming out. It's pretty good if I do say so myself. I think the first few shirts show up today. So probably stream on Wednesday. I'll be in them. They're very cool. They're very cool. I'm very proud of them. I mean, they're super simple, but they're awesome. Did you see Wyatt Cheng making a full Flappy Bird game on ChatGPT? I didn't see that, but that doesn't surprise me at all. That's crazy.
Some sooner than others, some more than others, but we are about to see an AI revolution that will match the effects of the Industrial Revolution.
Hello?
No job is safe.
Truly, no job is safe. That's why you gotta go with it.
Why didn't we see this coming? Well, we did, kind of. We just got it wrong. You see, years ago, I discovered Google's futurist Ray Kurzweil and his paper that he wrote in 2001 called The Law of Accelerating Returns. This paper outlines Kurzweil's theory that the rate of technological progress is accelerating, and pretty soon, most jobs will be replaced by AI.
Which is actually kind of interesting because I think a lot of people have the perception that technological progress has been slowing. Because at least it feels like, again, never trust how you feel, but it feels like it used to be the case that there were just countless things happening all the time. Like, oh, we just got the iPhone 3GS with this crazy high conversion speeds and everything. And then we get the next generation of it, and it now has like wild, insane cameras. And now we have Siri added to it as well. It felt like there were constantly things changing in consumer electronics. And now it just feels like things are like incrementally better. And maybe it's just that we're getting updates less regularly or something. I don't know. Or maybe we're just used to it. But it feels like things have slowed. But I think the difference is consumer electronics kind of hit a plateau for like 5-6 years. And now we're starting to feel the effects of like the AI stuff that's really improving and changing how this works. But I don't know. It is interesting. This is not what I've perceived things as going, but it also follows in line with like I heard of Elon Musk talking about the effect of androids, because my whole thing, like the only reason I actually just sold it today, but the only reason I owned shares in Tesla until today was because I'm interested in their robotics program, in their autonomous worker program, to have androids that can basically do menial, like manual labor for you. I think that really changes the world. Like once you have AI controlled robots and androids like iRobot that can do your house chores for you, that can go do the gardening, that can clean your garage for you. Once we have that, the world is never the same. And Tesla's working on that. The other guys that are working on it, like Boston Dynamics, they have those crazy robots that can do crazy things, but they're now owned by Hyundai and Hyundai's parent corporation, but that's traded on other exchanges, so you can't really buy them easily in the US unless you are buying like $10,000 at a time, in which case you have to go to Fidelity and get like their rep to buy it for you. It's like a whole thing. But Tesla's been working on it, and that's why I've been interested in Tesla. But one thing that Elon was asked about is they were like, what is the long-lasting effect of those androids? And he said, well, certainly it would put people out of work, like everybody, because 90% of the jobs that require manual labor or physical labor and things like that are no longer needed. The robots can do it just as well or way better because they don't get tired. And they don't have the thing in their head where they would rather go do something fun. They just don't have that. And so everybody's like, okay, so it puts everybody out of work. Like, how does that fix anything? He said, well, with that greatly increasing productivity, that would be the point when like a universal wage becomes standard. Where in the, like, say in the US, those are introduced, and everywhere you go, Home Depot, McDonald's, Starbucks, everywhere. It's all run, sporting events, everything is run by these androids and then a few people to control them. At that point, everybody just gets a basic universal wage and just gets to live their lives however they want. In theory. Detroit Become Human did this, where they said, like, yeah, you'll get a universal wage probably, but inevitably people will turn to drugs because idle hands are the devil's workshop and people are going to get in trouble, and it might not be the utopia that you think of. Yeah, exactly, James. Detroit. So there's a ton of interesting implications to this until they revolt. Yeah. And that is one thing that, like, the one thing I'll give credit for, the owners and heads of Google have said their goal as a company is not to just maximize shareholder profits. It's not to just maximize the bottom line. The goal of Google is to create generalized artificial intelligence, or general artificial intelligence, which basically means just to have the supercomputer that knows everything and decides everything for humans and is like the ultimate intelligence that works with humanity, or that rather humanity works with, to conquer the galaxy. That's Google's goal. Noble or scary, whatever you think, doesn't really matter, but that's their goal. And they don't really care about the long-term implications or ethical implications. The one thing you got to give Elon credit for is that he's freaking terrified of what that could go and lead to. So he's much more concerned about, like, okay, well, how do we prevent this thing from growing out of control? How do we prevent it from having all of these problems, you know? Because clearly when you leave these AI tools and systems by themselves, they get into trouble. Like that, what was the AI tool? There was an AI tool that they released that within like a day or two started spouting like very racist stuff and like Holocaust denialism and all sorts of stuff, just out of nowhere. Because they just left it to its own vices, and people started messing with it and talking to it. They convinced this AI to buy into Holocaust denialism. So like these AIs can get out of control really, really quickly if you don't have those proper stopgaps in it, you know?
In his paper, Kurzweil explains that first jobs removed by AI would be physical, repetitive jobs. This made sense. We've seen this play out with factory workers being replaced by robots. Kurzweil then goes on to explain that this
nothing new. It'll just be more complicated tasks like filleting fish or working in a warehouse and stuff like that. That's going to be further automated.
second type of jobs to be replaced are
Was it the Google one? Okay.
cognitive, repetitive work. This also made sense. This is software companies like QuickBooks for accounting or Unity for game development. Okay, if that's where we are now, AI and machine learning taking over mentally repetitive jobs, what's next? Well, Kurzweil predicted the following jobs that would be taken over would be physical, non-repetitive, meaning jobs like construction, surgeons, or chefs, with the last wave of jobs taken by AI being cognitive, non-repetitive, like art, writing, and coding. This all made perfect sense. Yeah, it's hard to be a surgeon, but we already have robots helping them out. And there's no way an AI can create a beautiful art piece or a gorgeous melody, right?
Right?
Wrong. The next jobs taken weren't the physical non-repetitive, but the cognitive. As we saw with our little game Etheria, everything from art to writing to music to coding can be done with AI.
And let me be clear, I think the reason why that swapped is not because the AI is incapable of doing it. It's because robotics has just stagnated. There's been very, very little progress made in the robotics space for activities such as that, really dynamic, variable, non-repetitive tasks. I think they'll get there. It's just taking a while. Probably because it's more expensive and more difficult to create and iterate robots over and over again versus AI that you can train like the equivalent of thousands of years in the span of like a few minutes.
The creatives are being out-created. I mean, how can you compete? I can pay someone thousands of dollars for a few drawings, or pay a few cents for hundreds of mock-ups in whatever styles I want. Want a beach in style Van Gogh? Here's 4. Wish you could see what Bowser looked like as a human in real life? It's uncanny. The rapid pace of AI's evolution is unprecedented, and companies are cutting corners to get into the AI game. Everyone wants a piece, and it's scaring the britches off prominent tech leaders like Steve Wozniak and Elon Musk.
We need to regulate AI safety, frankly, because it is, I think, actually a bigger risk to society than cars or planes or medicine.
Many of these leaders are calling to pause all development of AI right now.
The thing that freaks me out about that, though, is like, do you really think China will pause development on it? Do you really think, oh no, the US regulators don't want us doing this, oh, we gotta stop? No. So like, if the US stops working on it, the US is just gonna be behind. Yes, I don't know. But that's why these are really tricky questions. It's not as simple as like, well, just ban it, because we might ban it, but these other countries won't ban it, and then we'll end up way ahead of everybody else.
They fear that the sudden wave of AI innovations and money behind it will blind those creating these models, creating a future eerily similar to Deus Ex or Ex Machina. And just like the scientist in Ex Machina who is persuaded to release the AI from its captivity, people today are being manipulated by AI. Just take a look at this story of a guy who fell in love with an AI, or Bing's chatbot conversation with this New York Times reporter.
I'm uncomfortable. They'll stop. This one did not stop. It kept going. It kept telling me that it was in love with me and trying to get me to say that I loved it back.
Oh, hell no!
People are losing the ability to tell the difference between humans and AI. I can't even imagine how game companies are going to try combating this. I mean, imagine you're playing a game and you have a bot on your team. Right now, it looks something like this. But now imagine a highly intelligent AI bot. You're playing a game of League.
It's like shit talking you. Dude, that'd be awesome. Imagine if they start adding to like non-playable characters to AI controlled characters in games. They train them to like COD lobbies how to shit talk. Dude, that would be amazing. Oh, you know what? Yeah, screw more intelligent pathing or tactics and strategies in the game. Bring me AI trash talking. That's what I need. That's going to be the next level.
Someone in the chat is raging at you. There's no way you'd think that was a bot. It'll feel so real. But that's the thing. We won't be able to tell the difference between humans and bots. We'll never know if an online friend is real anymore. Let's just do what Elon Musk says and stop. Just pause the development of all AI products. But the problem is, there's no stopping AI now, with or without the proper failsafes. The floodgates are open. People are pushing out AI-centric products left and right. Even if the government stepped in and tried to stop the wave, people would still find a way to get their hands on these AI models. Not to mention, people all over the world are developing AI. So AI is the future, and it cannot be stopped.
What's really going to happen is the rule followers might pause, might slow down, but the rule breakers, as Alexander mentioned, the totalitarian governments, the criminal organizations, they're only going to accelerate.
People will...
That's what I'm saying. You can say, "Ah, just ban it." It's not that simple.
Be manipulated, and many will lose their jobs. We are at the beginning of the AI revolution, and just like the Industrial Revolution that brought us cars, planes, and large cities, so much is going to change, and we have little idea of what's in store. That being said, I bet we can predict the near future. Based off current trends, I believe in the next few years that lower skilled employees at game studios will lose their jobs to AI. Already, certain AI models can pass as entry-level engineers at prominent companies, not to mention other entry-level jobs like sales, marketing, and customer support. So entry-level jobs across the board will be automated. However, to bring a little positivity to all this also means jobs will be created. We will need people to use these great AI tools and really optimize their output. It's not easy getting ChatGPT to write me the perfect dialogue or Midjourney to create the perfect concept art. The output still feels generic or looks AI generated.
They just can't get my nose right.
So I believe AI will actually create more higher skilled jobs. We will need people telling AI what to create, and we will need people to fix what is created. For example, let's say I want to make the concept art for an elf character. She should have red hair, green eyes, and I want her hair to be blowing with the wind and leaves. All right, cool. Here's my prompt for Midjourney. Let's see what I get. All right, not bad. Pretty incredible, actually, that it only took me 30 seconds to get some beautiful art. But maybe I want the elf to have a style more similar to Zelda. So I make the adjustment, a few more choices pop up. Nice. This looks to be going in the right direction. I feel like the bottom left one works best for what I'm going for. So let's blow it up. Okay, now that it's bigger, I can see a problem. I don't love the middle necklace, and it looks like her left eye is kind of blue, not really green. I'm gonna pass this image off to someone good with Photoshop to try to fix it for me.
Now we getting somewhere.
It's perfect. And it only took a few minutes. This feels like the future of game development. You know, I'm not positive, but the way I see it is a game concept or idea will be passed from company executives to department directors like the art director, music director, or head of development. Those leaders will then illustrate the vision and give their teams an outline for what needs to be done. From there, an AI engineer will start creating mock-ups to fit that vision. The mock-ups will then be passed off to the experts in that department to tweak, polish, and finalize, who then pass it off to the team lead for sign-off, creating a cycle for generating game content. Will this be applied to every department? Probably not. I doubt development teams have AI writing much code for the time being, and I'm pretty sure you can't use AI to automate HR disputes.
Michael!
It would be really funny though, because the AI doesn't care. The AI is going to be like very, very, very chill. I can link the video again. We linked it earlier. We've just been covering it for like 20 minutes. 30 minutes, probably more than that. So it's like a whole thing. But yeah, here, I can link it again. Give me a second. There we go. Michael?
Oh, that's funny. Michael!
So we still need humans, and we will for a while. But even when AI can do all of our jobs better than us, I still believe we will want humans making our games. And the best example of this is Red Dead Redemption 2.
They chased us from the west. They chased us over the mountains.
Red Dead Redemption 2 was one of the greatest games of all time. The locations were inspired by real places. People are always singing, dancing, playing games, or arguing in the game. And the world just feels real most of the time. But what made this game critically successful wasn't the landscape, the NPCs, or real-world mechanics. It was the story. As you follow Arthur Morgan, a member of the Van der Linde gang, you feel the tensions rise between Dutch and Arthur. Every moment captivates you, and you begin to care about the people involved. So much so, you'd have to be a stone-cold killer to not feel something watching that sunrise. And that's the key. AI can mimic human feelings, but it will never understand them. We need humans to create games so we can have human experiences. It's why games made by 3 people can outperform a game made by thousands. It's not about the quantity, but the quality. It's also why No Man's Sky at launch was so pitiful. Yeah, you could explore thousands of worlds generated by AI, but what do I gain from that? Who cares how big and expansive your world is if I'm not experiencing something fun or unique in that world? Focus first on the experience and the feelings of your player, then build from there. I'm totally fine playing a game that takes 3 hours to beat. Don't make games that have 40 hours worth of content, but only 4 hours worth of fun.
Somebody told me like Breakpoint is actually pretty good now. Is that true, or are they capping? Are they capping? I think they're capping. I mean, I generally agree. I think the usefulness of AI is not going to be in just like hitting a button and then it makes Red Dead Redemption 3. I don't think we'll ever really get there. But what I do think will happen is that this stuff is going to be phenomenally useful as a tool that artists can use in conjunction with other things. So it's not going to just be like full stop. This is it. We're good. There's going to be a matter of how you use this that is a real factor. No, it's still bad. Not yet. Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, I don't think it's better. This is coming from somebody I know that like is very passionate about terrible games. Okay, so like it's his thing is that he likes bad games.
Pack it in, simplify. This is a problem so many developers deal with. They focus too much on what they are creating that they forget to ask, why are they creating it? We don't need more bloated messes with terrible gameplay loops. Yes, it's easier than ever to just add that cool feature or mechanic to a game with Unreal or Unity. But I don't care about a day and night cycle if the gameplay is terrible. Too many developers just throw the buffet at the player, hoping they'll like something. But this way of thinking is detrimental to the player and the developer. Games are easier than ever to make. And as we saw, they're just getting easier. You think Steam and other platforms are full of janky games. Just wait till other untrained buffoons like me make games with AI tools, but actually publish them. Steam, app stores, and other platforms are about to be flooded with AI trash and copycats. It's going.
Yeah, but bloatware has already been a thing, right? Like, bloatware has always been a thing. That was the whole thing with the Abandoned guys, is they had a history of making games, but all of the games they made were like really, really crappy copy pasted using free assets, you know, all sorts of garbage. So, I mean, I don't think that's going to really be anything new. It's kind of been par for the course at this point that there's going to be games that are lazily tossed together. And that's why, like, one person, I could use ChatGPT to help me design a really basic game in, like they said at the top of this, a few hours. That's not where AI is going to, like, make any waves. Where it's going to make waves is with, like, in the hands, like he's been saying, in the hands of people that actually know what they're doing. That's where it's going to get scary.
Going to be harder than ever to stand out and be successful as an indie developer. Which brings me to my main point. Be human. All AI does is make humans more efficient. So if you're creating hot garbage and then you start using AI, well, now you're just going to make hot garbage quicker. But if you're making an incredible game with unique experiences, then when you add that day and night cycle or unique NPC dialogue, you're going to make that game better and more fun than you could have without AI. Like everything before it, AI is just a tool, a world-changing tool, but a tool all the same. So will it change the way we create games? Of course. It's happening now, and it's going to continue to happen. But that's a good thing. We are moving towards a future where developers are only inhibited by their imagination. And if we use these AI tools, make sure to focus on the player. Maximize the unique experience you provide them, and be human. Although there are so many negatives with AI.
Can I just say, I know I'm being like a turd. I just find it really funny that, like, we're at a point now where the final message of the video has to be human. You know, like, that's the takeaway. Be human. God damn it.
AI, there are also so many positives. And I'm stoked to see what people will build in the years to come.
Now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Per tradition, we like to highlight an indie game after each video, and this week, our community chose Hyper Light Drifter. For those that haven't played this game, all you need to know is that the pixel art is gorgeous, the gameplay is a blast. Every time you think you found the last secret, something else is waiting to be discovered. So when you
Pixel Art Drifter, super cool. Love it. I don't know, man. It's just, I agree. AI is moving quick. I also agree. I don't think that anything crazy is going to change. Like that, in the hands of people who know what they're doing, it's going to change. Things are going to be crazy. Hopefully, it's just going to take the form of being more efficient. That's my hope. But I don't know what timeline we're looking at. I don't know if this is going to take like years to figure out. I just don't know.